We were talking with Melissa D'Ellena with D'Ellena Law, and we were going over ways to safeguard yourself, your home, your properties, your friends, your family, because of all these scams that are out there. People are very technical. These scammers are extremely technical. That, whenever we find ways to protect ourselves, they find ways to climb over, that data wall, that firewall, whatever you want to call it. They find ways to get through. Okay, so we always want to be on top of this. We want to keep you updated with the latest ways to obviously protect yourself. So again, before commercial break, we were talking about how people are actually stealing your home, basically, right? Mm-hmm. Through your deed. How are they doing that?
So it's not something that we see a lot on a regular basis here in Rhode Island, at least anymore. I saw a bit of it some years back when there was more financial distress in the market.
Okay.
But what is ultimately happening is that you routinely see someone, often an elderly person, who does not necessarily have a mortgage or has a very small mortgage,
yep, and
has come into financial hardship. And somebody has gathered that information. And again, it's above my pay grade. I don't know how it is that they're getting this information.
Yeah, but they do.
Maybe they're getting it from external sources that have nothing to do with the real estate piece. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But they get that information and they start preying on these folks by offering to essentially bail them out and pay off their debt and take over the house. And what they do is they have these folks sign documents. And those documents are routinely deeds where they're transferring the ownership outright to whomever this investor folk person is. So you have to be really, really careful before you sign any documents to make sure that you are having a legal team review them with you to make sure you're not unknowingly transferring ownership to your house to one of these fraudsters.
How are these people getting away with it? If their name is on a deed, why are they not in prison?
Well, I think in large part, it's hard to track. In many cases, these older folks have already sold their house or moved out of their house, mm-hmm, or may not be aware that they've sold it. They just know that they were no longer able to afford it financially. And if they don't have any family members, mm-hmm, who are kind of watching out to see what is happening or what's not happening, then in that case, the house is essentially just taken from them without any recourse. It's sad to say, but routinely, it's only discovered much later when a family member, as a result of death in some cases, realizes, hey, I thought Uncle so-and-so owned this property. Wonder what happened. And then you go back and look at a deed and have to wonder if it was either signed under duress or fraud, or if it was perpetrated under some scam like this.
I see. So it's kind of like a waiting game for these fraudsters. They kind of just wait it out, let it go, let it take its course.
Could be.
Wow. So I would say then a large number of people that could be affected by this are maybe people in assisted living centers.
Certainly. To the extent that they have other houses and they're not there, that's the way it can happen. I can tell you there are successful ways, though, in the event that you are a person who's in a financial distress situation, to locate an investor or, have someone contact you. And the way that I've seen it done is not by a deed transfer necessarily, but by a mortgage. Mm-hmm. So if you have an investor who's going to come in and rehab the property, let's say, mm-hmm, in an effort to then sell it for a higher price, is that person can have a mortgage deed signed over into the name of the investor so that the investor is protected for their investment into the improvements. Now you've not transferred ownership. You still retain ownership as the original homeowner, but you've given essentially a debt interest to that investor. And that's a really easy way to protect both the investor as well as the homeowner in order to facilitate a sale for an equity position later.
Make sure that you're working with somebody you know. Don't just call those random signs on the side of the highway or side of the road or even the billboards and whatnot, because a lot of times those are national things that will send out, guys and girls that don't know what they're talking about, or that'll go in and really try to lowball you. Make sure you have a realtor that knows the market, knows the area, look it over. You should have an attorney look over all of your paperwork. Never sign anything without an attorney checking all of that paperwork.
That is so true.
And there's another segment of the market, too, that is very susceptible to fraud and to losing out, and that's for sale by owners. And, a lot of times they do it, obviously, and I understand the thinking, to save money. And at the end of the day, you're open to, like I said, to all of those things falling through the cracks, through signing the wrong things. And you're also cutting yourself short of the amount of profit that you should be making. I would never battle a disease without a doctor. You know what I mean? I would never go into court, for a case without an attorney. I just wouldn't do it. So why would you sell, your biggest asset and, maybe your nest egg to somebody, without an attorney or without a real estate agent, So it's just a way of thought. I think, even if you do decide to go that route or any route, you always want to at least check with professionals because it's free.
Absolutely.
It's free to check with somebody. So if you know somebody that's, on the hook or whatever of doing this or that, contact us. We're no pressure. We'll give them the meat and potatoes of it. It is what it is. This is what we can do, and that's it. And then they can make an educated guess on that decision. You don't want to find out years later that, that somebody stole from you. Or that they use your Social Security and they've opened up credit cards or they've who knows? I mean, the list can go on and on and on with the potential dangers of fraud.